Hello, and welcome to Brook Lane's Facebook Live event, Beating the Back to School Blues. I'm Kurt Miller, Community Relations and Education Manager for Brook Lane. Please visit brooklane.org for information on our future programs that are coming up, as well as you'll find a link there to our YouTube channel so that you can view videos that we have there from our past Facebook Live events, as well as a number of videos on a variety of mental health topics. It's a resource that we're very pleased to share with the community. During our program today, if you have any questions, please type them into the comments area and I will relay them to our presenter. And again, thank you so much for joining us. It's back to school time and the summer days are passing quickly by us. This can be a very challenging time for many young people. It can create anxiety, moodiness, and negative attitudes. Some children struggle with getting back into a structured routine. Others may be dealing with the stress and pressure to perform academically, which they're feeling already before the new school year. This can lead to students feeling very overwhelmed and frustrated. We have Brook Lane therapist Rida Faridi with us to share some tips and strategies to decrease your child's anxiety and help with a smooth transition back into the classroom. Rita is a licensed clinical professional counselor providing therapy for children and adolescents at Brook Lane's North Village outpatient office and in schools in Washington County. She is certified in trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. She works with individuals and their families to address concerns related to trauma, anxiety, mood disturbances, and family conflict. Rita enjoys building relationships with her clients and helping them achieve their goals of improving their mental health. Welcome, Rita. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kurt. So we're going to go ahead and get started. As we all know, back to school season is upon us once again, which is why we're all here tonight. For some students, school has already begun, but for those who have not started yet, today we're going to review some tips on getting reacquainted to more structure and less free time. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a PowerPoint as well. All right, so beating the back to school blues. So saying bye to summer means goodbye to homework-free nights, unpredictable sleep schedules, unlimited screen time for some, and fun outside in the sun. And getting reacquainted to a school schedule might seem like a daunting task, but early preparation can help to ensure a seamless back-to-school transition, to help deal with having more responsibilities and having more structure and no longer having that time to be on vacations. So one of the #1 things that is helpful for getting back to school routine is planning routines. So the best way to do this is to spend time writing wake up, evening, and bedtime rituals with your children and allowing them to share their input. So collaboration is very important. Creating those routines together will help kids feel involved with their routine, helps them feel dedicated to it, and gives them that autonomy that they might not always have. Routines should start at least 2 to 3 weeks before school starts to help with that adjustment period. You know, Frederick County has already begun school, but Washington County begins on August 29th. So if you have not already begun, now would be a really great time to start planning those routines together with your kids. Once you and your children or child have come up with a ritual together, print out a copy, or if you've written it down, take the written copy and hang it up somewhere where everybody can see. This will help serve as a reminder and helps keep everybody accountable for the routine. So someone can't say they've forgotten because it's written and we've agreed on a place on where to put it together. Routines typically consist of about 3 to 4 steps, so they're not completely overwhelming. So if we're planning morning, evening, and bedtime routines, we want them to be manageable and something that we can remember to do every single day. And not only should they be completed in the same order every day, they should be completed on or around the same time. So the morning routines for schools will begin about the same time, but along with this, having a bedtime routine is just as important, having a fixed bedtime. So a time that the child is going to sleep or a time that they are waking up as well. And it helps to keep consistent with this. It will foster that consistency and drill that into your head that this is a routine, and routine should last about half an hour. They shouldn't be any longer than that, as it can be quite difficult for children to maintain attention for a long period of time. So consistency, again, with routines is the most important part. So to help implement it, we want to make sure that we're practicing. So if you have not already started, now would be the time, as school does start on Monday. So I'm going to go over a couple examples of what I think proper routines for going back to school should look like. So we have an example of a morning routine. So this can vary by age and by child and just by family. And again, you're coming up with these with your kids collaboratively. So it's going to be different for everyone. But the first step that we're going to have in the morning, maybe it's make the bed. So again, getting a fresh start to the day and starting out with on a good note. And then of course, we want to practice good hygiene in the morning. So brushing your teeth. And after brushing your teeth, maybe we want to have, the outfit that's for school put on. And in addition to that, maybe you want to put the dirty clothes or in a hamper, or put your PJs away. It's going to be different for everyone. And then again, eating a balanced breakfast can be useful too. And nutrition is really important, especially with kids going back to school. We know that they need their energy, getting back to that routine, starting out early in the morning around 8:30, and they'll be gone for most of the day. After that, when the kids come back to school, we want an evening routine. So this is not the bedtime routine. This is just getting ready for the next day. So for some, that's going to look like laying out your clothes for school, organizing your backpack, packing a balanced lunch if you do pack your lunch, and making sure again that we have a nutritious meal packed, and maybe winding down with a calming activity. And we're going to go over some calming activities later, as well as some other coping skills. And our final examples are bedtime routines. So we're going to put on our pajamas before we go to bed, and again, brushing teeth, because hygiene is very important. And we want to do a daily wellness check-in with kids, and we're going to go over that a little bit later as well. This is just to make sure that kids aren't feeling really overwhelmed or anxious, and if they are, steps that we can help them with. And then after we've checked in with the kids, lights out. So again, they're pretty simple. Each of them are 3 to 4 steps, and after doing them for a little while, you can memorize them, and a kid might fall into this routine and it'll be easy for them. They're not going to need to look at the posted routine that's on the fridge for much longer. They'll get really used to it. All right. So speaking of sleep, we want to talk about sleep hygiene. So sleep is one of the harder things to get back into a routine of, especially after summer. I know a lot of kids stay up really late and they like to play the video games at night, watch TikTok, whatever it is. So we want to help get them used to going to sleep, and children must be well rested to be more productive in school. So each organization will have different recommendations, but for how much sleep they think their children should get. But the American Academy of Sleep Medicine does recommend that children aged 6 to 12 should regularly sleep 9 to 12 hours per 24 hours. And teenagers, so those are for our elementary to middle schoolers, and that teenagers age 13 to 18, so maybe the end of middle school, most of high school, should sleep about 8 to 10 hours per 24 hours. When they don't get that amount of sleep, we start to accumulate a sleep debt that can be really difficult to pay back if it becomes too big. So once you miss that sleep, it's going to start to accumulate and start to feel a little bit more tired every day. And then, that the school days are long and kids haven't been in that structure for as long. So they do need that time to get readjusted and find ways to fall asleep so that they are not exhausted and can pay attention and absorb all the energy that they're learning in school. Information, excuse me. And the resulting sleep deprivation has been linked to health problems. We know that if you're not getting enough sleep, it can impact many things. It can cause obesity, it can be linked to obesity and high blood pressure, negative mood or behavior, decreased productivity, and safety issues in the home and potentially in school too. While sleeping, your brain remains active to get recharged. And we want to think of our brains like a computer or a smartphone that uses the nighttime to back up all of your data. One of its big jobs, the brain's big jobs, is to consolidate memories, link with old memories, and create paths for you to retrieve memories. It can also form connections between separate thoughts and ideas, and that's why sometimes when you wake up, a big idea suddenly pops into your head, and that's why if you don't sleep, your thinking and memory are fuzzy. Some research suggests that when you don't sleep, like when students pull an all-nighter, your ability to learn new information drops by almost half. And this is why it's essential to get an adequate amount of sleep, as students are learning so much information during school, especially the first couple weeks back. And historically, sleep problems have been associated with a number of psychiatric disorders, including attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD, anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. Although correlation is not always mean causation, recent research does indicate the lack of sleep might be more than just a symptom of these disorders. It might be one of the primary contributing factors. And just to go over a few research studies to prove this, a research study at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, which was published in World Psychiatry, found that depression and suicidal thoughts were just as common in teens with poor sleep habits as those who engaged in risky behaviors. There was also another study conducted by the University of Texas Health Science Center that found teens were 4 times as likely to be depressed if they were sleep deprived. So is the lack of sleep causing these disorders, or are the disorders making it difficult for the person to get adequate sleep? It's probably a two-way street. So a lack of sleep can exacerbate or give rise to a number of disorders, but also many disorders can also cause poor sleeping habits. So now that you know the risks of lack of sleep and just why it's so important to get the proper amount of sleep, here are some things that you can do to help create a more positive sleeping environment. A dark room is the most optimal to help fall asleep. You can use a dim nightlight if your child is afraid of the dark. And we want to make sure that the room is dim and is dark and the nightlight is dim, as our brains do associate nighttime and darkness together. And it helps our brains recognize that now it's time to go to bed. And the bedroom should be cool in temperature. Too hot or too cold is going to keep you awake. We want to make sure that the room is also quiet in nature, as these two factors can help contribute to a more comfortable environment. We also want comfortable bedding. So pillows and blankets, these should all be comfortable. The bed should be a cozy place. You might need some extra as we get into the colder months soon. And also we want to learn to reserve the bed for sleeping only. This allows our brain and our bodies to make that connection and associate your bed with sleeping only. So when you're in your bed playing video games or chatting online all night with your friends, the brain starts to associate your bed with being awake, and that negatively impacts sleep. So if you do this, your brain starts getting the message or signals when you're in bed that it's time to play a game or time to talk to your friends instead of time to fall asleep. So we're trying to break that connection or stop it from happening altogether if it hasn't yet. We also want to avoid heavy exercise prior to sleeping, so within 2 hours of bedtime at least, because that can decrease your ability to fall asleep. We also want to avoid caffeine, heavy, spicy, or super sugary foods too close to bedtime. Typically that means about 4 to 6 hours, because these can affect your ability to stay asleep once you've fallen asleep. And finally, this one's probably the hardest for many, but we want to try to stop your kids from using electronics at least an hour before bed. But another Harvard study does suggest that we want to stop using any electronic devices 2 to 3 hours before bed, because blue light exposure, which we know comes from screens, computers, TVs, phones, the blue light exposure is known to disrupt sleep. That same Harvard study suggests that light of any kind can suppress the secretion of melatonin, and melatonin is a hormone that plays such a big role in your natural sleep-wake cycle. And blue light at night does that a lot more powerfully. So Harvard researchers and their colleagues conducted an experiment which compared the effects of 6.5 hours of exposure to blue light versus exposure to green light, which is the light that promotes sleep of comparable brightness. So the blue light suppressed melatonin for about twice as long as the green light and shifted circadian rhythms by twice as much. So 3 hours versus 1.5 hours. So we know how much that blue light impacts our sleep negatively, and we actually want to try our best to avoid that so our kids can feel rested before school. And I know that sleep is one of the harder pieces as well, but despite all of this, we still might notice that even with all the ample preparation for the new school year, some students might still feel anxious or stressed about returning to the classroom. Not only might they feel anxious or distressed, we might also notice some mood disturbances, maybe being a little bit more irritable, having negative attitudes. There are also concerns about socialization and getting back to being with friends after maybe not seeing people all summer. There's also public health concerns following COVID as well. I know there are some students who still feel anxious about that. So stress as we know it is the overwhelm, is the uncomfortable feeling that you get when you're worried, scared, angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed. It's caused by emotions, but it also affects your mood and your body. So be sure to check in with your child's emotional well-being regularly. You can do this in a number of ways, but a quick check-in, asking them some questions like, how are you? How was your day today? What did you do today? What was the best part of today? What was the worst part of today? Something that you're looking forward to about tomorrow can really help. And asking them open-ended questions that way, it warrants a response instead of, did you have fun at school today? Which you might get a no or a yes and no further answers. So we want to keep it open-ended, let them respond. So we want to continue these mental health check-ins even after school has begun to address any concerns they may have. They might start off school really strong and then feel a little bit more anxious as the year goes on. So it's okay to do these check-ins every now and then, and your kids do appreciate them as well to know that you're paying attention. And the effects of stress tend to build up over time, and there are multiple ways that we can work on addressing the stress. So taking practical steps to manage your stress can reduce or prevent these effects. First, we want to recognize the signs of your body's response to stress, such as difficulty sleeping, which we talked about earlier, being easily angered, irritable, feeling depressed, and having low energy. Two, another way to combat stress can be to get regular exercise. Just 30 minutes per day of walking can help boost your mood and reduce stress. Another way that some people might like to address their stress is by trying a relaxing activity. There are stress coping programs you might want to try, things that incorporate meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, or other gentle exercises. For some stress-related conditions, these approaches are used in addition to other forms of treatment. Schedule regular time for these and other healthy and relaxing activities. Another way to work on combating stress is by setting goals and priorities. Decide what must get done and what can wait. So with your kids, obviously there are going to be assignments and deadlines, but we want to work on finding a way to make them all work and to schedule them in. So addressing the things that need immediate attention and doing the assignments that might have a later due date on a later date. So decide what must get done, and what must wait, and learn to say no to tasks if they are putting you into overload. So sometimes that does mean not being able to do that fun activity at times, but finding ways to balance everything. Note what you have accomplished at the end of the day and not what you've been unable to do. Another way to help combat stress again is by staying connected with people who might provide that emotional and social support. To reduce stress, you can ask for help from friends, family, community members, or other organizations. Others like to change their mindset to help deal with stress, learning to become a problem solver by making a list of things that can cause that stress. So from that list, you might want to figure out which problems you can solve right now and which are beyond your control at the moment. So from your list of problems that you can solve now, start with the little ones. Learn to look calmly at a problem, think of possible solutions, and take action to solve that problem. Being able to solve small problems will give you confidence to tackle the big ones. And feeling confident can go a long way to helping you feel less stressed. Being flexible can also be really useful in finding ways to compromise. Getting organized might include thinking ahead about how you're going to be spending your time, writing to-do lists, figuring out, again, what's most important and doing those things first. And we want to set limits when it comes to things like work and family at times, figuring out what you can really actually do. There are only so many hours in a day, so set limit for yourself and others, and don't be afraid to say no to requests for your time and your energy. There are also many tools to help students relax with stress other than changing your mindset and learning to become a problem solver. Some things like coping skills. So we're going to go over a few of them. So deep breathing makes you breathe slower and helps your muscles relax. Meditation, mindfulness, and grounding techniques are also tools to help combat stress and anxiety. Stretching can help relax your muscles and make you feel less tense. We're going to go over a deep breathing exercise and a progressive muscle relaxation exercise in a moment. And some students also might like channeling their own hobbies to help decrease their stress, such as drawing, journaling, listening to music, taking a walk outside, or spending time with friends and family. We all have lots of things that we have to do, but often we don't take time to do the things that we really want to do. And that could be reading a good book or going to a movie. Again, spending time with family and friends, talking about your problems to your family or to your friends or your family members can sometimes help you feel better. They might also help you see your problems in a new way and suggest solutions that you had not thought of. If you notice that anxiety levels are increasing, it might be a good time, again, to do those mental health check-ins with your child. I do also want to go over again those deep breathing exercises. So one specific deep breathing exercise that I like to teach is 4-7-8 deep breathing. And the 4-7-8 deep breathing technique requires a person to focus on taking a long, deep breath in and out. Rhythmic breathing is a core part of many meditation and yoga practices as it helps promote relaxation. It's believed to help reduce anxiety, help a person get to sleep, manage craving, and control or reduce anger responses. Before starting the technique, I want you to adopt a comfortable sitting position and place a tip of your tongue behind your front teeth. And to use the 4-7-8 technique, we want to focus on the breathing pattern. So emptying the lungs of air, and we want to breathe in quietly through the nose for 4 seconds. Now I'm going to take some pauses for those who might be following along at home. Hold the breath for a count of 7 seconds. And exhale forcefully through the mouth, pursing the lips and making a whoosh sound for 8 seconds. And then we do repeat that cycle up to 4 times. The person who did coin this technique, his name is Dr. Weil, and he recommends using this technique at least once or twice a day to start seeing benefits sooner. And we want to avoid using it more than 4 breath cycles in a row until there's more practice with the technique. You might feel lightheaded if if you're doing this for the first few times. So it's better to do this technique while sitting or lying down, so you're not feeling dizzy, lightheaded, or having the risk of falling. And the total number of seconds that you're doing this technique is not as important as keeping that ratio. So for example, if you can't hold your breath for 7 seconds, we can adjust it accordingly. So breathe in for 2 seconds, hold it for 3.5, and then breathe out for 4 seconds. So again, that ratio. So the original is 4, 7, 8, and you can tailor it as you see fit. So as long as you can maintain that ratio, you can notice the benefits immediately. And hopefully you're trying that about once or twice a day. And for some who have used this technique, the more that you use it, the more helpful it becomes. And we do know from studies in the past, one from the Health Science Journal, that deep breathing techniques can help us in many different ways, such as decrease fatigue, reduction in anxiety, better stress management, and reduced aggressive behaviors in adolescents, as well as any physical symptoms as well. Another exercise other than deep breathing that I want to go over is progressive muscle relaxation. So progressive muscle relaxation is a way to relax our muscles, but we do so in a way where we tense them up first and then we release them to help feel that tension leave our bodies. So these exercises can help you learn how to relax when you're feeling uptight, and helps us to get rid of maybe those butterfly feelings in our stomach. And this one's really fun for the younger kids, and as well as some older kids do enjoy it as well. And there are ways to follow along with these exercises. So if you are not able to have your kids with you right now, this video will be recorded and be on Brook Lane's Facebook page and YouTube page to visit later. So I do want to go over how this goes. So I'm going to read from my script for a little bit. So we want the kid to be relaxed and be in a quiet position, in a comfortable position, close their eyes and just relax in their chair and let loose a little bit. So trying very hard and paying attention to their body. So for the first one, we're going to learn how to tense our hands and our arms. So if I'm speaking to a child right now, I'm going to tell them, I want you to pretend you have a whole lemon in your right hand. Squeeze it as hard as you can and try to squeeze all the juice out. Feel the tightness in your right hand and your arm as you squeeze, and drop the lemon. Notice how your muscles feel when they're relaxed. Take another lemon and squeeze again in your right hand. Try to squeeze this one harder than you did the first time. That's right, really hard. And now drop the lemon and relax, and see how much better it feels when your hand and your arm feel relaxed. Once again, take that lemon in your right hand and squeeze all the juice out without leaving a single drop. Squeeze really hard. Now relax and let the lemon fall from your hand. And we do this on both sides. We do this on your right hand and we do this on the left hand. And that's going to help relieve some of the tension in the hands and the arms. We do the same exact thing for our arms and our shoulders. So for this one, I have the kids pretend they're a furry, lazy cat, and I want them to stretch, and they stretch their arms out in front of them and raise them high up over your head, way back, and feel that pull in your shoulders. Stretch higher. Now let your arms drop back to your side. All right, we're going to get ready to stretch again, and stretch your arms out in front of you. Raise them over your head and pull them back, way back. Pull hard and let them drop quickly now. Good. Notice how your shoulders feel more relaxed. And this time we're going to have one great big stretch. Try to touch the ceiling. Stretch your arms way out in front of you and raise them way up over your head. Push them way, way out and notice the tension, and then pull in your arms and your shoulders. Pull tight. Now you can let them drop quickly and feel how good it is to be relaxed. It feels good to be nice and lazy. And then we also focus on the jaw. So you want to pretend that we have a giant jawbreaker piece of candy in your mouth, which is really hard to chew. So I tell the kids to bite down on it really hard and let your muscles relax, or let your muscles help you, excuse me. Now relax. Let your jaw hang loose and notice how good it feels to let your jaw drop. Okay, we're to tackle that jawbreaker once again. Bite down really hard and pretend that you're eating that piece of candy, so you're clenching your jaw really hard. And now we're gonna keep clenching it and now relax again. So you wanna let your jaw drop off your face, and it feels good to let go and not have to keep fighting that piece of candy. We're gonna do it one more time. We're gonna have them pretend to bite this piece of gum and bite down really hard as you can, harder, even harder. Now relax. Now you can try to relax your whole body, and you've eaten that piece of candy, and you can let yourself go as loose as you can. And then we do want to focus on the muscles in the face. So we want to pretend that a pesky old fly has come and landed on your nose. So we want to try to get them off without using your hand. So to do that, you have to wrinkle up your nose like this, make as many wrinkles in your nose as you can, and scrunch up your nose really, really hard. And we're trying to chase them away. All right, good. He's gone now, and we can relax our noses, but he's gonna come back again, and we're gonna do that whole method all over again, trying to get this fly off our faces. And by doing this, we are scrunching up the muscles on our faces and then letting it relax afterwards too. Eventually, the fly is going to land on your forehead, and to try to get rid of him, we want to raise our eyebrows, make as many wrinkles in your forehead as possible, and really scrunch up those muscles until he flies away, and then we can relax. And we're wanting to notice the difference between how our muscles feel when they're relaxed versus when they're really tense. So it obviously feels a lot better when we're not having our muscles as tense. And this is a good way to notice how obvious those differences are. We also can do this exercise with the stomach. So pretending that we have a little baby elephant walking towards us, and he comes over, he doesn't see you lying down on the grass, but he's going to walk over your stomach. So to make it hurt less, we try to squeeze our stomachs in as tight as we possibly can and tighten our stomach muscles really, really hard. So the method of this is just trying to tighten those muscles in our stomach and then letting them go when the elephant has walked away. So again, squeezing those ab muscles and then letting them relax. We can feel the difference in how much better it feels and how nice and relaxed we feel once we've released those muscles in our stomach. And we can do that similarly in a different vision of that is by squeezing in our stomach, trying to fit through a really tight space. So if you're trying to pretend that you're squeezing through a narrow fence, we can suck in our stomachs as much as we can, trying to make ourselves be as small as possible. And this can really help tighten those ab muscles that maybe are hard for a kid to imagine with a little elephant walking over you. And we can do the same thing with our legs and our feet. So again, just going from the top of our body down to the bottom. So we want to pretend that we're standing barefoot in a big mud pile, and we want to squeeze our toes really, really deep into the mud, trying to push our feet down to the bottom of the mud. And you probably need your legs to help push your feet down. So you're pushing really, really hard. And now we want to let go and let our feet relax and let your toes go loose and just feel how nice it feels to be relaxed and to not be pushing our legs down so hard. We also want to squish our toes down really hard and let our leg muscles help push your feet down, and try to squeeze that puddle dry when you're pushing your feet down. And then we can stop and then relax our legs, relax your feet, and relax your toes. And now, once we do that, we're feeling no tension anywhere in our body. You might even feel kind of warm and tingly. And the purpose of this exercise is to stay as relaxed, to learn how to tense your muscles and then learn how to relax. And we want to learn how to continue doing this. This can help aid in sleep as well. So as you go through your day after doing some of these things, remember how good it feels to relax those muscles. And you can practice these exercises every day to help feel more and more relaxed. A really great time to practice these ones is at night after you've gone to bed and the lights are out, and you won't be as disturbed. It does help you go to sleep, as I've said, and once you're a good relaxer, you can even help yourself relax at school. Some of these are a little bit easier to do, like pushing your feet down. So just try to remember the elephant, the jawbreaker, or the mud puddle, and you can do these exercises. No one's even going to notice. And it feels really good again to learn how to relax your body and to be a bit more calm. And these are all really great tips as to how to feel a little bit more calm and relaxed. And if for some reason you're not able to do these at home on your own, that's okay. There are other resources that we can look to. So if your anxiety levels are increasing and are becoming more difficult to manage, or if your kids' anxiety levels are increasing and becoming more difficult to manage, it might be time to consider seeing a therapist and allowing, or a school counselor, and allowing your child to have a safe space to process their emotions and learn additional tools with a trained individual. So Brook Lane has therapists in Washington and Frederick County middle schools and high schools, as well as some elementary schools as well. And their school guidance counselors are also really great resources, as well as their families. And though it's really difficult to say goodbye to these long summer days and these warm nights, we are welcoming and are excited for a new school year. As preparation for school begins, don't forget to enjoy the remaining days of relaxation, and good luck to everyone as they start school soon.
Rita, thank you so very much for sharing with us today. We did not have any questions, so we will close for the Facebook Live. And again, thank you so very much. Take care.
Thank you, Kurt. Bye.
Goodbye.